Why the woman who doesn't need validation is dangerous to society. Simone de Beauvoir. Just read that title aloud. Dangerous. A woman who simply breathes, thinks, and acts authentically, utterly unconcerned with external approval? Why in the world would such a creature be deemed a threat? We constantly preach self-worth, independence, tell our girls to be resilient, to value themselves. But when a woman genuinely lives that philosophy, when she truly unplugs from the endless quest for validation, that's when the system quakes. Is it her power that unsettles us? Or is it a mirror reflecting our own ingrained biases, our discomfort with anyone who dares to redraw the lines of identity? What exactly about this radical self-possession makes society so deeply, profoundly uneasy? Don't look away now, because the true danger isn't to her. It's to the very narratives we've blindly accepted about femininity and belonging. What if her freedom exposes our own subtle cages? Dangerous, we said. But what exactly is she dangerous to? Perhaps it's to something so deeply ingrained, so utterly pervasive, that we barely even perceive its existence. The invisible trap of social validation. Think about it. From the moment we're born, messages begin to subtly, relentlessly, sculpt our understanding of who we should be. For women, this narrative often coalesces around one central, insidious premise. Your value is fundamentally derived from how you are perceived by others. Are you beautiful enough? Thin enough? Accommodating enough? Are you a good daughter? A supportive partner? A nurturing mother? The list is endless and the metrics are ever shifting, externally defined. This isn't just about superficial compliments. It's a profound existential pressure. It shapes our choices, from the clothes we wear to the careers we pursue or don't, to the very expressions we allow on our faces. We learn to perform, to curate, to present a version of ourselves that is palatable, pleasing, and ultimately approved. This isn't a conscious conspiracy. It's a cultural inheritance. It's the constant low hum of expectation that buzzes in the background of every interaction, every media portrayal, every family gathering. And it forces us into a paradoxical existence. We are told to be ourselves, yet every fiber of societal conditioning pulls us towards being a version of ourselves designed for external consumption. We become expert chameleons, adapting our colors to blend seamlessly into whatever social landscape demands the most approval. But what happens when the performance becomes the person? What happens when the relentless pursuit of an external gold star hollows out the authentic self? This isn't just a trap. It's a cage woven from invisible threads of expectation, and its true danger lies in how effectively it disconnects us from our own intrinsic worth. Have you ever felt this pull? This constant negotiation between who you are and who you feel you should be, just to feel enough, to truly grasp the profound danger of a woman who needs no validation. We must turn to the intellectual giant who articulated its very foundations, Simone de Beauvoir. In her groundbreaking work, The Second Sex, a tome that ripped open the societal fabric of gender, Beauvoir didn't just critique, she philosophized existence itself, revealing the subtle and overt mechanisms that define and confine. She introduced us to a concept that is chillingly relevant to our discussion: the distinction between being for itself and being for others. Imagine, if you will, the being for itself as the authentic, autonomous self. This is the individual who defines their own existence, who makes choices from an internal locus of control, who actively projects themselves into the future, creating meaning and purpose from within. It's the essence of true freedom, the audacious act of self-definition. But then there's the being for others. This is the existence lived through the eyes of someone else, where one becomes an object defined by external perceptions, expectations, and projections. Your value, your very identity, is then contingent upon how you are seen, used, or understood by others. You cease to be a subject and become, effectively, an object. Now here's where Beauvoir drops the philosophical bombshell. Historically and tragically, she argued that woman has been systematically constructed as the other in a patriarchal society. Man is the subject, the absolute, the one. Woman is the deviation, the secondary, the other. Her existence, her purpose, her very essence has been defined not in and of itself, but in relation to man. She is wife, mother, daughter, muse, rarely just being. She is the one who compliments, who nurtates, who supports, who pleases. Her mirror is not her own soul, but the gaze of society. This isn't about blaming individuals. It's about understanding a pervasive cultural blueprint. We are taught to look outside ourselves for definition, for worth, for a sense of belonging. And when a woman internalizes this, she becomes complicit in her own objectification, constantly performing for the approval of the other. So when we talk about a woman who doesn't need validation, we're talking about someone who is actively, consciously, and powerfully reclaiming her being for itself. She is refusing to be the other. She is dismantling the very foundations of this historical objectification, one sovereign choice at a time. This isn't just a personal preference, it's a profound philosophical rebellion. It's a defiant I am, echoing through centuries of "you are what I say you are." If this deep dive into the existential roots of validation and autonomy is sparking new thoughts for you and helping you see the world through a clearer lens, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to Mind Revelation. Your support helps us continue to unravel these complex ideas and bring more transformative content your way. What part of Beauvoir's other resonates most with your own experiences or observations? We've established that a woman who doesn't need validation is liberating herself from being the other, from being defined by external gazes. But why exactly does this act of self-reclamation constitute an existential danger to society? The answer lies in the fundamental threat she poses to the status quo, to deeply entrenched systems that rely on precisely the kind of female insecurity and external seeking that Beauvoir so brilliantly dissected. Consider this: if a woman is no longer performing for validation, she becomes inherently unpredictable. She isn't operating within the familiar, well-worn grooves of expectation. She isn't responsive to the traditional levers of control, the subtle societal pressures to conform, the consumerist narratives that promise happiness through acquisition, if only you're enough, or the social rewards for being agreeable and easy to manage. Her self-worth is internally generated, making her immune to the very mechanisms designed to keep people, particularly women, in a perpetual state of seeking and striving for external approval. She ceases to be a reliable market segment for industries that thrive on insecurity. Think about the beauty industry, the diet industry, the relationship advice industry, even certain segments of fashion. How much of their immense power and profit is predicated on the idea that women need something external to be complete, attractive, or worthy? When a woman genuinely doesn't need validation, she steps out of this consumerist cycle. She's not buying into narratives that tell her she's broken and needs fixing. She's not chasing fleeting trends to feel accepted. She's not investing emotionally or financially in endless self-improvement projects aimed at pleasing an external gaze. This disengagement is economically disruptive. Beyond economics, her autonomy is profoundly disruptive socially. A woman who defines herself, who does not wait for permission or approval to live her life fully, challenges the very fabric of traditional power dynamics. She is less likely to settle for unequal relationships, to tolerate disrespect, or to silently accept limitations placed upon her by virtue of her gender. She may choose paths that diverge sharply from societal expectations for marriage, motherhood, career, or lifestyle. This isn't just about individual choice. It's about a ripple effect. When one woman reclaims her full autonomy, it subtly, or not so subtly, encourages others to question their own paths. It shines a light on the hidden agreements that shape our lives. The danger, then, is not one of malice or destruction. It is the danger of disruption. It's the silent earthquake that destabilizes comfort zones. It's the unyielding presence that forces a reevaluation of established norms. She cannot be easily categorized, controlled, or consumed. She is a free radical in a system that prefers predictable elements. And this radical freedom, this refusal to be defined by anything but her own inner compass, is precisely what makes her so profoundly unsettling and, yes, dangerous to a society built on the very opposite principles. Have you ever felt the pressure to conform, even when it felt wrong, just to avoid this discomfort in others? What happens when you refuse? So if the woman who needs no validation is such an existential disruption, how does society react? It doesn't simply applaud her newfound freedom and adjust its structures accordingly. Oh no. Like any system confronted with a threat to its equilibrium, society employs defense mechanisms. And these defenses often manifest as a relentless barrage of labels, myths, and subtle yet powerful tactics of discrediting. Think about it. When a woman chooses a path less traveled, when she opts out of the validation game, what are the immediate whispers? She must be lonely. She's probably bitter. She's too aggressive, or conversely, she's too cold. She's difficult. She's selfish. She just wants attention. The ultimate ironic accusation, isn't it, for someone not seeking validation? Or, perhaps the most insidious, she's too masculine, implying her strength and independence are somehow unnatural or a deviation from her true feminine self. These aren't just random insults. They are carefully honed social weapons. Each label serves a precise purpose: to diminish, to isolate, and most crucially, to warn. They paint a picture of the dangerous woman as an undesirable anomaly. The message is clear. If you step outside the bounds of seeking validation, if you dare to define yourself without external approval, this is the fate that awaits you. Loneliness, bitterness, unpopularity. The goal is to scare others back into line, back into the comfort of conformity, back into the endless pursuit of external approval. These labels also function as a form of gaslighting. They attempt to reframe her strength as a flaw, her autonomy as arrogance, her self-sufficiency as a lack of emotional capacity. They try to convince her, and those observing her, that there's something inherently wrong with her chosen path, rather than recognizing it as a radical act of self-authorship. Have you ever noticed how quickly society pathologizes a woman who doesn't conform? How her choices are analyzed, dissected, and often dismissed, simply because they don't fit a predetermined mold? This is where the collective unconscious of society tries to rein in the dangerous woman. By categorizing her, they try to contain her power. By giving her a negative label, they attempt to invalidate her valid existence. It's a testament to the sheer transformative power of this woman that society feels such an urgent need to protect itself from her very presence. Because her freedom, her unburdened authenticity, implicitly asks a terrifying question of everyone else. What are you still performing for? And that, my friends, is a question that many are deeply uncomfortable answering. We've explored the danger, dissected the societal labels, and unmasked the mechanisms designed to keep us seeking validation. But what happens when we refuse to internalize those labels? What happens when we reclaim the narrative? This is where the profound transformation occurs. We shift from being perceived as dangerous to embodying true power. The dangerous woman isn't dangerous in a malicious sense. She is powerful because she has liberated herself from the tyranny of external opinion. Her power isn't about dominance over others. It's about sovereignty over herself. It's the radical act of saying, "My worth is not up for public referendum. My value is inherent, non-negotiable, and internally generated." This is the ultimate act of self-authorship. She stops performing for an audience that was never truly invested in her authenticity. She stops twisting herself into pretzels to fit molds that were never designed for her unique shape. Instead, she begins to build from within, grounded in her own truth, her own desires, her own purpose. This reclamation isn't just a personal victory, it's an existential one. It's the embodiment of Beauvoir's concept of transcendence, the human capacity to go beyond the given circumstances, to actively create meaning and future, rather than merely being defined by the past or by external forces. The woman who doesn't need validation is not passively waiting for life to happen to her. She is actively engaging with it, shaping it, transcending limitations, and forging her own path. She is the artist of her own existence, and her canvas is her life. This journey, however, isn't always easy. It requires immense courage. It means standing firm when the world tries to pull you back into its expectations. It means facing potential discomfort, misunderstanding, and even resistance from those who preferred the validated version of you. But the reward is incomparable: genuine peace, unwavering authenticity, and an unshakable sense of self. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are enough, exactly as you are, without external applause or validation. And if you've stayed with us through this deep dive, through the challenging questions and the provocative ideas, know that you too are on this path. You are engaging with concepts that defy superficiality and demand true introspection. You are seeking to understand the underlying currents of human experience. So, I want to acknowledge you. Thank you for being here, for leaning into this conversation, and for being part of a community that values deep thought and genuine growth. As we continue this journey towards the ultimate reflection, I invite you to share one word, just one word, in the comments below that represents what liberty or self-definition means to you. Let's create a mosaic of shared empowerment. And if you're finding value in this discussion, please make sure you've hit that like button and subscribe to Mind Revelation. Your engagement fuels these conversations and helps us reach more minds seeking clarity and empowerment. So how does this radical philosophy of self-definition, articulated by Beauvoir and embodied by the dangerous woman, manifest in our hyper-connected, often superficial 21st century? How do we navigate the path of autonomy when every screen, every advertisement, every social media feed screams for our attention and, crucially, our validation? The contemporary landscape presents unique challenges to authentic self-definition. We live in an era of curated perfection, where social media metrics often dictate self-worth. Likes, followers, and engagement become the new forms of external validation, creating a digital theater where everyone is performing for an unseen audience. How many of us have tailored our posts, filtered our photos, or crafted our words, not from genuine expression, but from an almost unconscious desire for approval? The constant feedback loop can become an addictive, demanding master, subtly eroding our ability to find satisfaction from within. But this is precisely where the woman who doesn't need validation becomes our contemporary guide. In a world obsessed with appearances, she cultivates depth. When others are chasing fleeting trends, she builds an enduring inner sanctuary. She understands that true influence isn't about being seen by many, but about being true to herself. This doesn't mean she shuns social connection. Rather, her connections are deeper, more authentic, built on shared values rather than performative pretense. Consider relationships. How many people stay in unfulfilling partnerships because the alternative, being alone, is perceived as a failure in the eyes of others? Or how many career choices are made based on prestige and external recognition, rather than genuine passion and purpose? The woman who doesn't need validation makes choices aligned with her deepest self, even if those choices are unconventional, even if they draw criticism or misunderstanding. She measures success by internal metrics: peace of mind, integrity, personal growth. The path of autonomy in the 21st century is fraught with its own unique set of obstacles. The constant pressure to compare, the relentless pursuit of an idealized self, the fear of missing out, FOMO, on what others are doing. These are modern iterations of the validation trap. Yet the rewards are equally profound. A deep-seated sense of peace that no external storm can truly shake, the freedom to explore passions without the burden of expectation, and the profound joy of truly being, rather than perpetually becoming for someone else. Is it easy? Absolutely not. It requires constant vigilance, conscious detachment from external noise, and a relentless commitment to your inner compass. It's a journey of unlearning deeply ingrained societal lessons and bravely charting your own course. But isn't the alternative, a life lived as a reflection of others' desires, far more challenging in the long run? What aspects of modern life do you find most challenging when trying to stay true to your own internal compass? What social media habit, for instance, might be subtly pulling you into the validation trap? We've journeyed through the unsettling proposition of the dangerous woman, explored the invisible chains of validation, and uncovered Simone de Beauvoir's profound insights into our very existence. We've unmasked society's defenses against authenticity and celebrated the transformative power of self-definition. Now we arrive at the ultimate question, the one that lingers long after the screens dim and the sounds fade. What is the true price of your freedom? Is it the discomfort of standing apart? The occasional sting of misunderstanding from those who prefer you fit a familiar mold? The courage it takes to say no to external expectations and yes to your own inner voice? Perhaps. But compare that to the hidden cost of constantly seeking validation, the erosion of your authentic self, the quiet despair of living a life curated for others, the nagging feeling that you're forever chasing a moving target. In this light, the price of freedom isn't a burden. It's an investment in integrity, in peace, and in a life truly lived. The legacy of Simone de Beauvoir isn't just an academic concept. It's a living, breathing blueprint for a more liberated existence. Her work, and the archetype of the woman who needs no validation, challenges us all, men and women alike, to awaken to our being for itself. It urges us to reclaim our agency, to step out of the shadows of external opinion, and to embrace the audacious act of self-authorship. This isn't about becoming solitary or defiant for defiance's sake. It's about building a foundation of inner strength so profound that your connections, your contributions, and your very presence in the world become a conscious choice, not a desperate plea for approval. It's about cultivating a radical self-acceptance that radiates outwards, inspiring genuine connection and authentic belonging. So, as we conclude, I invite you to turn inwards. Where in your life are you still performing for an audience that doesn't truly see you? What subtle demands for validation are you still answering? What small, brave step can you take today to align more fully with your own intrinsic worth? The woman who doesn't need validation is not dangerous to society. She is dangerous for society, in the most transformative sense. She shatters illusions, exposes pretense, and illuminates the path to genuine liberation for us all. Her existence is a powerful invitation to redefine what it means to be truly free, truly powerful, and truly, unapologetically, ourselves. Embrace your own power. Unplug from the need for external validation, and watch as the world, and your place within it, profoundly changes. Thank you for joining us on this vital journey of mind revelation.